Trump strikes back, Robert Mueller speaks to the nation, and Cortez and Cruz join together. I'm Seymour, and this is the Americans Awful Recap.
But I do want the experience of like game days, partying. I don't really care about school.
Now, Olivia Jade, who is simply not a smart human being, came out this weekend begging USC to keep her. If you forgot what happened, pretty much Olivia and her family bribed USC to admit her. It was a massive fiasco that involved not only her, but multiple celebrities. She's now having her own TV show and book based on this. She's still claiming that she had no part in this, which is pretty questionable, to be honest. You know, she had multiple private photo shoots of her in a canoe, and she's also shown to have zero interest in school. Like, you wouldn't ask at least one time how you got into USC. Trump, he is now slamming Joe Biden by concurring with comments that Kim Jong-un made about him.
Well, Kim Jong-un made a statement that Joe Biden is a low IQ individual. He probably is, based on his record.
Trump has also attacked Biden for being too harsh on crime and say that he made sentences a lot shorter in an attempt to appeal to a lot of the minorities. The Supreme Court also turned down an abortion case in Louisiana, which talked mainly about the removal of the fetal remains. So it's not necessarily Roe v. Wade at all. And honestly, all of this means that there is less and less chance every single day that Roe v. Wade will be overturned. The Trump administration also looking to combat the medical crisis, and they're trying to use more of a collective bargaining method, which is similar to what the EU uses. Pete Buttigieg also has a unique idea when it comes to the Supreme Court. He wants to have 5 seats chosen by Democrats, 5 chosen by the Republicans, and 5 that are chosen unanimously. Okay, so it's important to point out that most of these policies they're proposing is unconstitutional. The Supreme Court justices cannot choose other Supreme Court justices. Second, there seems to be a notion that the Supreme Court is really political. You know, that's not entirely accurate. Roughly about 90% of the time when it comes to these cases, it's almost a unanimous vote. Like, the vast majority of people in the Supreme Court agree on which case should be decided on which way. And that's across party lines. You know, the 10% is usually what the media focuses on, like Roe v. Wade or Brown versus Board. Ilhan Omar, the Minnesota representative, also stated that she's an important politician because she brings a new perspective of a foreigner to foreign policy. She and her supporters have also stated that if you quote her, you're now dehumanizing her.
Russia did not help me get elected. You know who got me elected? I got me elected.
On Wednesday, Robert Mueller makes his first statement about his report.
Spoken publicly during our investigation. I'm speaking out today because our investigation is complete. The Attorney General has made the report on our investigation largely public. We are formally closing the special counsel's office. Appointing me special counsel authorized us to investigate actions that could obstruct the investigation. And we conducted that investigation, and we kept the office of the acting Attorney General apprised of the progress of our work. And as set forth in the report, after that investigation, if we had had confidence that the President clearly did not commit a crime, we would have said so. We did not, however, make a determination as to whether the President did commit a crime. It explains that under long-standing department policy, a president cannot be charged with a federal crime while he is in office. That is unconstitutional. Even if the charge is kept under seal and hidden from public view, that too is prohibited. The special counsel's office is part of the Department of Justice, and by regulation, it was bound by that department policy. Charging the president with a crime was therefore not an option we could consider.
He pretty much stated that I'm not going to help Democrats impeach Trump. If you want to do it, it's on you. He did not bring any obstruction of justice charges to anyone. It's important to point out, though, that the job of the special counsel is not to decide whether Trump was exonerated. It's to essentially whether we should prosecute Trump or not. And now we have Trump regurgitating the fact that it's a witch hunt, that it's all a scheme, and you know what? Russia didn't help me to get elected. I got elected.
I think it was the same as the report. There wasn't much change. It was, to me, the same as the report. And there's no obstruction. You see what we're saying. There's no obstruction. There's no collusion. There's no nothing. It's nothing but a witch hunt. I think he's totally conflicted because, as you know, he wanted to be the FBI director, and I said no. As you know, I had a business dispute with him after he left the FBI. We had a business dispute. Not a nice one. He wasn't happy with what I did. And I don't blame him, but I had to do it because that was the right thing to do. Robert should have never been chosen because he wanted the FBI job and he didn't get it. And the next day, he was picked as special counsel. So you tell somebody, I'm sorry, you can't have the job. And then after you say that, he's going to make a ruling on you. It doesn't work that way. Why didn't he investigate Strzok and Page and McCabe and Comey and all the lies, and Brennan and the lies, and Clapper and the lies to Congress, and all of the things that happened to start this investigation? Why didn't Comey come clean? Why didn't Comey come clean and say the things that he knows are facts? Why didn't Mueller investigate Comey, his best friend or his very good friend? And there's so many other things. Here's a question. This is a study of Russia. Why didn't they invest the insurance policy? In other words, should Hillary Clinton lose, we've got an insurance policy. Guess what? What we're in right now is the insurance policy. No, Russia did not help me get elected. You know who got me elected? You know who got me elected? I got me elected. Russia didn't help me at all. Russia, if anything, I think helped the other side. What you ought to ask is this. Do you think the media helped Hillary Clinton get elected? She didn't make it. But you take a look at collusion between Hillary Clinton and the media. You take a look at collusion between Hillary Clinton and Russia. She had more to do in the campaign with Russia than I did. I had nothing to do. And by the way, that's one other thing. If you look, this was all about Russia, Russia, Russia. They don't talk about Russia anymore because it turned out to be a hoax. It was all a hoax. And then they say, gee, he fought back. Isn't that terrible? He fought back. Of course I fight back. Because it was a false accusation. I've exposed corruption. I've exposed corruption like nobody knew existed.
Mueller also concluded that he didn't want to testify before Congress, and nothing else will be revealed about the case at all. Now, a lot of Democrats are saying that there's a road for impeachment. Justin Amash, which is the only Republican, is also calling for impeachment.
To me, the conduct was obviously impeachable. So then the question is, do you then move forward with impeachment proceedings? And my biggest concern, I thought about this for a long time. Like I said, I spent a month reviewing, analyzing, thinking about it. And I am concerned that we've gotten to the point where impeachment may never be used in any circumstance. And I do think that it is more dangerous for our country to allow a president to mislead people, make things up. As an example, in the Mueller report, he asked the White House counsel to create a false record. Things like that to basically mislead people about a statement he had made. And I don't think that you can just let that stuff go and say, hey, it's no big deal, we're going to have an election in 2 years, and just let it go.
Amash lives in a purple state, which could explain why he's doing this. He's also now being called to run for president, which pretty much makes him like the 500,000th person at this point to run for office. Besides that, we have a lot of Democrats, including Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, Nancy Pelosi, also calling for impeachment, when in the past they didn't want to call for impeachment. Historically speaking, impeaching a sitting president has proved to backfire most of the time. You know, look at Bill Clinton, for example. You know, when people tried to impeach him, he just became a lot more popular and got a lot more support.
I've exposed corruption. I've exposed corruption like nobody knew existed.
On Thursday, Louisiana is the next state to pass an anti-abortion law. What makes this one unique is the fact that the governor, who is a Democrat, signed the bill into law. New Hampshire also has abolished the death penalty. The lawmakers override the governor's veto. Nancy Pelosi has switched from calling for Trump's impeachment to now bashing Facebook by saying that the only reason why Trump is president is because of Facebook. There's also this disturbing video coming out of a man setting himself on fire near the White House.
Shortly after 3 this afternoon, cameras caught Secret Service officers rushing a man away from the White House. Witnesses reported smoke from the scene, and medics treated the man who looked conscious at the time. The Secret Service says he had been in what they described as a wheelchair-type scooter before lighting his jacket on fire.
The fire was extinguished. They have a small burn, but they are considering his wheelchair and belongings as suspicious at the time.
The man was later identified as Amav Gupta of Bethesda, Maryland. He died of his injuries later. His motives are still unclear, though. Finally, Elizabeth Warren has gone on The View this week and talked a lot about demanding a federal demand for legal abortions.
How will you protect Roe v. Wade?
We need a federal law to take every principle that's in the Supreme Court decision and just make it federal law. Let's give women all across this country that protection. Okay.
On Friday, Trump is also calling for tariffs with Mexico until illegal immigration is stopped. He wants a 5% increase. Mexico is our third largest trade partner, so this means that there will be an increase in prices and decimate the Mexican economy. The first deadline Trump set is July 1st, which means that we have less than a month to pretty much stop the massive illegal immigration. You know, it's very, very unlikely that Mexico is going to do that remotely, okay? And the American economy has already taken a massive hit, even from these accusations. You know, Mexico has honestly gotten a worse and worse country every single day. We have this story on the Mexico Daily News that now 4,000 National Guards are going to be sent to the Michoacan region. The article went on to say that starting in July, 4,050 members will be gradually deployed to the different regions of Michoacan, supporting the governor's initiative and guaranteeing reasonable standards of security and stability as soon as possible, the Security Secretary Alfonso Duran said. He went on to say that collaboration is fundamental, and even if the political background of the municipal, state, and federal government is different, no argument can be made as an obstacle to respond to people's demands for security. So obviously, you know, Mexico is in no situation to appease Trump when it comes to supporting his massive demands for illegal immigration. We also had this strange team formed between AOC and Ted Cruz. You know, this all started when Cortez went on to tweet that members of Congress should not be allowed to become lobbyists after their service. Cruz later tweeted back agreeing with her, and then a few more tweets later, both sides were agreeing to a co-led bill banning members of Congress for becoming paid lobbyists, and other politicians are actually chipping in to support them. And finally, the Trump administration is again pushing the immigration status on the U.S. Census. You know, all of this is meant to handle the drawing of the districts in each state to make it fair, but a lot of Democrats are calling it racist. Okay, so that's all news for this week. I'm Sinwal, and this is the Americans Awful Recap.